They're taking away the working class people's opportunity to create other laws in the future by locking us in. And this is all done by greedy politicians, the supermajority.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Our next guests are on the line now. Kermit Moore is president of the Memphis, Tennessee A. Philip Randolph Institute, and Wes Trotterchaud is the Teamsters Local 519 president and business manager out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Kermit, Wes, thank you for taking the time with us this morning. I appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's great to have y'all. So let's start here, Wes. I always think it's a good thing to start these it's good to start these conversations with some basic education about the issue, because there's so much confusion about this. So what is right to work? What mechanically does quote unquote right to work do?
Is right to work is really the right to work for less. Any state that has right to work laws, it is proven 100% that state will have lower wages, that state will have higher poverty rates, that state will have poor health care, and they'll have much more likelihood of workplace deaths. And that is all driven by big corporation and big business, and we're trying to vote this Amendment 1 down, which tries to enshrine right to work in the state constitution of Tennessee.
Right. And what it does is, it's basically, and it's funny that these are the people that are pushing this, right? The small government types, but it's basically the government coming in and telling private individuals in a contract negotiation, telling unions and employers that they can't agree to have a fair share clause in their union contracts, saying that, people who are represented, it's not even, in collective bargaining states, unions workers don't even have to put this in their contracts. Employers don't have to agree to it. It's just something that they can do. But in right to work states, the government's coming in and taking that off the table, saying that you can't do that, saying that you have to allow free riders in your union workplace, that they have to get all these benefits without anything else. And of course, they're always opposed to the government coming in and saying, we should have this minimum wage, or we should have these safe working conditions, or, we should ensure that the people doing this type of work, have this certain level of education and understanding about the job that they're doing. They always say that's big government, right? Big government intervention. But they love this for some reason. So the vote y'all will be having, what's it on exactly? Y'all already are a right to work state. You've got right to work in the law. This is to put it in the Constitution, right?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. At the end of the day, putting it in the Constitution means absolutely nothing. It is a law that's been on the federal books and law here in the state of Tennessee for the last 75 years. So putting it in the Constitution means nothing really at the end of the day. But what it does is once you enshrine it into the Constitution, it makes it very difficult for future legislators to change anything. They're not going to change anything unless there's another constitutional amendment that's placed on the ballot. So they're taking away the working class people and the people of this state's opportunity to create other laws in the future by locking us in. And this is all done by really greedy politicians, the supermajority. And then it's also done by big corporation and big business who have bought off these greedy politicians.
Right. We've got a question from Jeb in the chat. When Alabama put this in our Constitution, which we did in, I believe, 2016, the referendum also did away with the state-level Davis-Bacon laws. Is the situation in Tennessee the same over there, or do y'all still have Davis-Bacon type laws in Tennessee, or are those gone, or what's the situation with that?
Yeah. Our Davis-Bacon and prevailing wage still exist within our union, and the project labor agreements and the just the different labor agreements that we have across the state.
So how would, there's some kind of complicated math about how this would actually get put into the Constitution if it did. Talk to us about how the quote unquote right to work side would quote unquote win.
Go ahead, Wes, because like he said, it's complicated.
Yeah, it is. It's very complicated, and it's very confusing. First, the language that they put in, they make it sound like the best thing since sliced bread, but it's really just rat poison. So I'm not sure anybody could support it. But reading it, you don't think, dang, this is good stuff. But no, it's no more than rat poison. So don't be falling into their game. And then the how it works and how it turns out, like if the governor's race if the governor wins, the current governor, and he has 1 million votes, in order for the constitutional amendment to go in, it has to pass by 500,000 plus 1 votes in order for it to go in. So current governor gets 1,000,001 and he's victorious, then the right to work constitutional amendment has to have 500,000 plus 1. If it's 499,000 to 400,000, the amendment does not go in. So really is what we're looking at, and what we're driving to is one, we want as many vote no's as we can get on Amendment 1. And then if people are uneducated and they don't know what the issue is and they don't understand it, then don't even mark the amendment. Just leave it alone.
Right. And so that's an interesting kind of, their side is going to have to get the turnout up in order to pass it. It's not just a simple majority of the people who vote in that on that specific amendment. They've got to hit a certain threshold. And so that's kind of interesting. And I think that really changes the calculus for, for advocates of keeping it out of the Constitution. I think it makes it much more winnable to have this kind of weird calculation in there. I think it's, so I'm looking for y'all to come out victorious on Tuesday, Lord willing, knock on wood. But so we'll back up a little bit, Kermit, and can you talk to us about some of the history of right to work? We talked earlier about what it does and what some of the impacts are going to be, but what were some of the messages that proponents of quote-unquote right to work were pushing as this was coming around, as this was beginning to form?
Well, first of all, good morning to you and your listeners. Right to work has been on the books for 75 years. Right to work has an anti-union and a racist beginning. And it should not be put in our Constitution. The Republicans in our House and Senate, which is a supermajority, want to enshrine a law that's been on the book for 75 years. And that would mean that we would never have a chance to repeal it. We need all of your listeners who have family, friends in Tennessee to tell their family and friends to get out to vote and to vote no on 1, because it is anti-workers. If we put it in our Constitution, they will sell Tennessee as a cheap labor state. We got workers that'll work for nothing. It is about workers. It is about union. It is about getting our fair share. We need to vote no on 1.
Absolutely. And you know, some of that racist beginning was really, really explicit. You know, they were talking about, some of these people that were proponents of it, talking about how, you know, if we don't have this right to work law, then you know, my lily white daughter is going to have to be in the same organization as her black coworker, and we can't have that, right? We can't have, you know, interracial solidarity and people coming together, black and white. We want to keep them apart, and that was, you know, that's a really, I think, an under, you know, something that people don't understand enough. That you know, when we say that right to work really it does have a racist origin, like it really does. It was explicitly segregationist in its intent in a lot of these places.
And that's why people in suburbia, people in the urban areas, and our folks in Appalachia must come together in solidarity and beat this constitutional amendment.
Absolutely. And so, Wes, what are some of the other ways that this that right to work is bad for working people?
Yeah, I mean, it's bad all the way around, because collective bargaining sets the standard. Whether someone likes a union or whether they don't like a union, we set the bar. We set the bar for the middle class, because whenever we go in and negotiate these contracts, it is just for an example, and this is what big business and big corporations wants to divide us on. Example, if we've got 10 employees under a contract that we just organized, and only 3 of them join the union, and the rest of the other 7 say, well, I want to be a right to work employee. Well, what kind of leverage do we have whenever we go at the table with that company and that union busting attorney and say, we want better wages, we want better benefits, we want better working conditions, and by God, you're going to give it to us. And then that attorney's going to turn around and look at me as I'm negotiating that contract. He's going to look at me and he's going to tell me, you ain't got the support. You've got 3 people behind you. Then I got other 7 that's going to come in here and be right to work employed. You have no leverage. That's what this big corporation, big business is doing to the working class. I don't give a shit if you're Democrat, Republican, or independent, and that's how you vote. That's good. This is the working class versus big corporation, and quite honestly, people need to start understanding that. They need to figure out where they stand. And I will assure you, whenever their livelihoods are on the line, they gonna pick that living wage. They gonna pick their family that they want to be able to live a daily life and live it comfortably. And that's what unions do. Right to work doesn't do that. It's right to work to fire. It's right to work for less. And people need to open their eyes and become more educated to the processes of what big corporation, big business is doing to the everyday working class people.
Yep.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, amen. And we are broadcasting on FM radio, and so, you know, Wes, your union actually launched a sort of campaign getting your rank and file Republican members to talk to some representatives in the legislature to get them to oppose this, and y'all felt like you were initially pretty successful, at least you thought. Can you talk to us about those efforts to get Republican members of the legislature to listen to their Republican constituents about this?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we knew the supermajority in this state wasn't going to listen to Wes Trotterchaud. They wasn't going to listen to Kermit. We could go office to office and they was going to slam the door on us, because we believe in working class people. We believe in everyday people. So we had to come up with a strategy, and that plan was to find Teamster members and that vote Republican. But they are 100% union. They believe in the union way. They want better wages. They want better benefits. They want better working conditions. And they want it for not just only theirself, but they want it for the general public as well, the everyday worker. But so what we did is, like, we took a group of 3 of them, UPSer Scott Arnwine, a construction guy, Dave Summers, another construction guy named Sean Ray, another UPSer named Marty Hinch, and we sent them to the Capitol to meet with the Republican supermajority in this state. Go to them, the directive, go to them one-on-one, and make sure that they understand that you guys, Teamsters that vote Republican, need their support because you are their constituents. Our guys did great. I mean, they did absolutely fantastic. And we felt like that we had the votes. And we had the votes of the Democrats, we had the votes of the Republicans, and we had the votes of the independents. And that was the work of our members. Well, we get into the final hour, and what happens is they bring in the NFIB, and then they bring in the Chamber of Commerce, and then they go to the Republican Party, and they get them in a group, and they tell them, this is not what you're going to do. And every one of those legislators backed up on us, with the exception of one. There's a guy, and one abstained, a guy named Scotty Campbell, which is a Republican out of Hamlin County, stayed with what he told us he would do. The other ones folded up like a lawn chair because they're bought or by big corporation, big business, and it's time for everyday Democrats, everyday Republicans, everyday independents, everyday working class people to open your eyes. Open your eyes, look at it. This is what it is. They don't give two shits about you in the way you vote.
Right. Yep. We're on the radio.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good, brother.
But yeah, no, I mean, you're totally right that, these people don't care about us, and it's important to understand that, and it's important to, I talked about this last week. I went to the Tennessee Right to Work, vote yes or whatever, their website, and I read off some of the people that are on their leadership, whatever. And if that was the people that was on my leadership council, I would almost just not publish it, because all it is politicians and bosses. Like there's no just normal working people on that list. And if that is the list of your supporters, then,
that says a lot.
It says a lot. And, if you're a normal working class person in Tennessee, or normal working class people in Tennessee, understand who is behind this. Because that's a very important thing. And Wes, you said that folks that, the folks that went in there after y'all to change their mind, it was just these organizations of bosses, right?
Yeah, it was. It was all, like I said, it's big business, big corporation. And that lead and guide everything. They're going to tell those legislators what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and then they're going to give us, the general public, all the social issues so we can fight amongst each other. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's working class versus big corporations, and they continuously try to divide us.
Yeah. Wes Trotterchaud, President and Business Manager at Teamsters Local 519. Kermit Moore, President of the Memphis A. Randolph Institute. I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.